Journey, your television passport to the exciting, colorful world of adventure. And here to present the actual films of tonight's bold journey is John Stevenson.
Deep in the jungles of French Guiana, Mr. Herman Jessen, the Amazon trader, makes his way up the Moroni River, aided by friendly natives. His object? To trade small manufactured goods with the primitive Indians along its banks for their spears, baskets, and primitive artifacts. His expedition must cut its way through the dense jungle overgrowth and often has to eat only what nature provides. Well, this story would seem highly romantic in fiction, but we consider it more remarkable because it's true. In a moment, we'll meet Mr. Jessen, whose occupation is trading with the uncivilized Indians of the Amazon. Then we'll journey with him on film. And now, here's the man you saw in the film earlier, Mr. Herman Jessen. We're proud to have you with us, Mr. Jessen.
Thank you, John.
I'd like to ask, first of all, sir, how remote are these Indians from civilization?
These Indians live about 250 miles up the Moroni River. It's very hard to get up there because the rains endanger any trip, and the river is either too low or too high. It's just in July that one can penetrate into those villages.
Oh, is this your first trip into this area?
No, into this area it's my second trip, but I've made 25 trips into South America so far, and I expect to leave very shortly on another one.
Well, where are you from originally?
I was born in Europe, but now I am engaged in the import-export business, and I spend about half of my time down in the Amazon jungles and the other half of my time here in Los Angeles.
Sounds like a very wonderful arrangement. Now, what do you use for currency when you go in to deal with these Indians?
Well, I try to figure out things that these Indians can use, but of most importance are blue and red beets.
Well, what happens to the goods that you bring back?
Here I have collectors and decorators and certain type of tropical shops who are interested in this type of merchandise.
Well, we're all anxious to see what being an Amazon trader really means, so let's start now.
We start in the town of Saint-Laurent-du-Maroni in French Guiana on the Moroni River. This river divides Dutch Guiana from French Guiana, and the native quarters house these beautiful canoes of African design which the natives use. Two of the men who made this trip with me, my companions, on a long journey trading with the natives of this region. The things that I use for trading with these people are mirrors, fish hooks, beads, flashlights, also tobacco and salt and sugar that the natives can use. I'm trading a knife for a comb and a basket for beads. Our boat was 50 foot long and 4 feet wide, and there were 4 of us going on this long trip up the Moroni River. This is the Los Angeles Adventurers Club flag, which flew overhead all the time.
You took only one boat, Mr. Jessen.
Just one canoe. That's right, John. We are leaving the town and passing by the native quarters, and we are on our way to Tumak Mountains and trading with the natives of the region. This woman wanted to go along with us, but we decided not to. We didn't need a cook on this trip.
How long a river trip will this be, Mr. Jessen?
It's about 2 months' trip, John.
And how long will it be in terms of miles?
It's about 500 miles each way. We are getting our guns ready as we are living off the land. You'll see that later. This little boy is one of the sons of the Bushmen, and I gave him a piece of chewing gum, and that's what he did with it. He couldn't figure it out. We are using our motor because the river is still smooth. We're giving the boy a little bath once in a while, and the easiest way to do that is just drop him in the water. Further up, we had to pole and paddle all the time. Tutu, my head man, is an old, seasoned riverman who knows his way around these waters. We lost a paddle, and one of the boys jumped in because we couldn't afford to lose it. We have to pole, and we are continuously looking out for game. You see, the river is still smooth, but we do come to spots which are rather hard to get up, and we have to pole our way into this native bony Bushman village. This is the harbor, and here are some of the typical canoes with African design. Tutu presenting me to the chief, Grand du Fou, who is a very gentle chief, governing these bush people totally. And he really dressed up the next day in my honor in this French naval officer's uniform with his wife. and I undressed in his honor in the native garb of the region.
Very incongruous, isn't it?
Oh, yes. This boy is making an oar for me, which I traded with him for a knife. And the girl is winnowing rice. In another part of the village, we see one of the girls fixing the hair of lady chief of the village. This is another little baby of Tutu. And the paddle I'm trading here with these Bushmen. One of the native girls brought us some fruits, and we are trading it for this empty oil can. African culture prevails completely in every respect. Shoving off on our way now to the next bony village of Assisi. And you see the way these boys are built with their shoulders and muscles, that they really are good for this type of work.
Yeah, very stocky people, Mr. Jessen.
Oh yes, they're very healthy, and they're really children of nature. The language is taki-taki. It's a language of about 300 words. I learned to respect these people. I never lost anything. On the whole trip, everything was kept in order. And as I came to these villages, they all brought me gifts and eggs and rice, and I was really treated royally going up there. The town of Assisi, the second bony village. Here's a bakery. You see, these people are very primitive, but still in all they are of high moral quality. They don't know hate, they don't know jealousy and envy. These people were very much interested in trading with me, and of course dancing and making friends came first. It's kind of a combination of cha-cha-cha and merengue. You hear these rattles now. It's just like Africa, John. Their language and their customs and their music is all imported from Africa, and they're pure Africans. They're very proud of their racial background. When they came over from Africa, they escaped from the whites, and they came up into this region, and they conquered the Indians, and then the Indians were their slaves. But sooner or later, they freed the Indians, and they made the Indians move further up that river. And even the children have full command of this African rhythm. The little ones get into the act, and this one to the right is the son of the chief. We leave this little town of Assisi, and we are hitting some very fierce rapids now. And we couldn't make it up this side, so we are trying to get over to the other side of the river and try the other side.
Is this your dog we see, Mr. Jessen?
That's Jimbala. He belongs to one of the native canoemen. The canoemen brought him along to help us hunt.
Nice little dog, and he was lots of company.
The last outpost of civilization, the town of Maripasula, and there are 2 or 3 white men there, a doctor and a gendarme and a mechanic. One can fly in there. That's me by the tree.
This was the last time I saw any white men for many, many weeks. The 3 children of the doctor, Dr. B.R., and that's the adopted child. One of the Bushmen gave it to the doctor in gratitude for some of the services he rendered to him. Now we are really getting into the rapids up there, and many times I fell down when I was taking these pictures, and I had to get out, and we had to push and pull, and we all had to help each other. You see, the waters are getting pretty rough up there, and it was quite a strain working from daybreak until sunset at night. Here I fell down, and I almost lost my camera. Continuously, we were struggling against nature, man against nature. Of course, it was so beautiful and it fascinated me so much, that didn't bother me at all. It was a big thrill for me to get in there. We are getting ready for the Indian villages, which are further up. But here are the first Indians which we met. The Oyana Indians are the Indians who live further up the river, and they have long hair, men and women alike, and we are trying to see whether we can get permission to get up further into that country and have them guide us. I love to do as they do, and I think the best way to go into these native places is to dress just the way they do, and they feel very much at home when you approach them in that respect. The Indian children swim. The Oyana Indians are very fine people. This chief and his wife were the first ones that I had the pleasure of meeting. About 300 or 400 of them left. There are the descendants of the Carib Indians, and the thing they like most are blue and red beads. You can just about trade anything for beads. The more beads a native has, the more distinction he has. And this little boy holds a toucan, and the children, like in any part of the world, love pets. And this little exotic Indian girl has her own pet, a little baby owl, and she had all these beautiful feathers adorn her head. We are now starting to trade with the natives. First making friends and then trading. The chief's wife is doing some trading with Tutu, my head man, but they don't seem to have any satisfaction from the deal because Tutu doesn't seem to be happy about the deal, neither does the chief's wife. And we gave her some food, and that calmed her down. Lipo Lipo is the Indian boy who guided us all the way across these mountains and up the river, across the Tumak mountains and back to the Indian villages. He was a fine boy, about 16 years old, and very nice and very trustworthy. We needed this Indian boy to go along with us to help, inasmuch as he was the only one that had ever been up that stream. The native way of drinking. We didn't use our outboard motor anymore, and everything was manual. It took a lot of energy to do this all day long, from sunrise to sunset, and you can just imagine wearing pants under these conditions. You would be soaking wet all day long, so the best thing is just to dress in a minimum attire possible.
Boating up this river is really physical work, isn't it?
Oh yes, these boys really worked hard. Jimbala is the only one who doesn't work. I paid these Bushmen in French money, and the Indian boy I paid in beads at the end of the trip. It's only 1 month out of the year that one can go up that river because it's either too high or too low, and it's just in July of each year that the river is at the right height where it can be penetrated way up to its source. We had to continuously load and unload our canoe, and that took a lot of our strength and time, and we didn't make too much headway at all, in as much as we were always doing these type of chores. Here you can see we have to pull this thing, and I had to help push and pull the canoe all the time. The only one who doesn't seem to mind this is our little dog. And as we get further up, he's getting fatter all the time because we are eating off the land, and we give him all the bones and whatever we couldn't eat.
And he's getting no exercise.
Oh. But I tell you, he really knew how to take it, the rains and the heat, and nothing bothered him. Now this is Alo K, one of the most interesting Indian villages in which I ever visited.
Thank you, Mr. Jessen. We'll rejoin you in the jungles of French Guiana in just a moment.
John, the town of Alo K is the largest and the most colorful of the Indian villages up this river, and you see the French flag flying. The chief's house is airy and comfortable, and the women chop the wood to make a brew. It's a type of masato drink. It's a combination of river water and corn. They dilute the masticated corn and bring it to a boiling point, and this is used as their drink during the dancing celebration which goes on at this time yearly. Before trading with the Indians, I made friends with them and drank with them.
What does it taste like, Mr. Jessen?
Oh, it's kind of a bitter taste, but I'm used to it. It's the same type of masato that is brewed all through the Amazon jungles. The dancing goes on for many days, and the witch doctors are dressed up in these long streamers. Of course, they dress in their most beautiful feathers, and they prize these very highly. The Indians wouldn't part with them as they were passed down to them by their ancestors.
Does this dance have any religious significance?
It does to them, yes. Here's the junior witch doctor, and he's learning from the senior witch doctors. While they dance, the women bring masato for the men to drink. Drinking is just a part of the ceremony. The native bread loaves are flat and large. We are examining them with some of the native children and another Indian chief, Yanamale. The young girls go up and down the stream continuously to bring fresh water to the kitchen. I'm trading with another Indian for a carrying tray. I'm giving him a bunch of beads here, and he seemed very happy with this bargain.
We leave Alo K, and you see the dog is keeping good watch for us. We are seeing a rubber tree which is plentiful in this area. This is a natural rubber tree which prevails in all throughout the Amazon jungles. We make head camps usually in a serene part of the river, and we are getting very close now to the Tumak Mountains, which divide French Guiana from Brazil. Tumak Mountains are a part of the Brazilian highlands, and it has a lot of significance to these Indians, this mountain range. It seems like they believe that their gods live in these mountains. It is very difficult for anybody to be allowed to cross these mountains. You see how hard it is to get through these jungles. Many logs covered our way, and sometimes we had to chop the logs apart, or we had to make our way through under these logs. It's so dark and dense, and many times when we hit a log, all types of animals, some bats and wasps, flew out of it and attacked. Many times also we saw snakes, and at one instance several underwater seals, a type of an Amazon seal, attacked our boat because there never been such a big boat through there, and it frightened the animals.
This is an incredible journey, Mr. Jessen.
Yes, you see, we have to hack our way through. Everything is done by hand. We had no saw along. We had to use an axe all the time. We changed off, and in this heat it was just terrible. When it wasn't raining, the heat was beating down on us. It's infested with piranhas, and the Bushmen advised me not to swim in this water. You see, the Indian boy is a good woodman. Don't worry, John, he wouldn't hit his foot. Tutu is not only a good boatsman, he's also a wonderful fisherman. And when we weren't hunting up there, we were fishing. There was plenty of game. There was no noise of the motor to disturb the animals, and we had so much game that we sometimes quit hunting and fishing and just tried to make headway as fast as we could. Here's the other boy jumping into the water to get our lunch out. This was a lunch for the day.
Wonderful catch.
Yes, it was a big fish. Lipo just got an iguana with his bow and arrow, and he has to go into these swamps to get it out. This is very good meat. And they were very proud whenever they got some type of an animal. We didn't kill animals just for the fun of it. Whatever we killed, we ate. Here, John, you see an anteater up in the tree, and a wild turkey which Tutu just shot. Jimbala guards this game, and it seems very important to him that nobody touches it. As we got closer to the mountains, we found another family of Indians way up there smoking fish. We never expected to see another human being again, as we were so far away from civilization. It was just a pleasure to see a living human again. The children in their canoe. She is using natural cotton for making thread, and her little baby child had never seen a white man before, and even the children used beads. Turtles were just in abundance there, and they provided the main food, also turtle eggs. I traded some fish hooks with this Indian, who was very pleased with my visit, and he gave us some of his fish. Our little dog got his share, and he's getting fatter all the time. We left, and we are approaching our base camp now in this creek, and we are going to leave our canoe there in order to cross this mountain range into the Amazon jungles. We leave the gas here for our return trip. You know, John, I usually do my trading on the other side of these mountains in the Amazon jungles, but I'd never made this trip up into this region, and I wanted to see what I could find there as far as handcrafts are concerned. From now on, it was all on foot. We left the canoe and all the unnecessary gear at the base of this waterfall, and we are attempting to cross these sacred Tumak Mountains into the Brazilian Amazon jungles. These falls have no name, and very few people except Indians have ever been up there. It was just as thrilling an experience for the Bushmen as it was for me.
Certainly a beautiful jungle setting.
Yes. We plant the Adventurers Club flag in these falls. We move on again toward the mountains. It isn't only the heat that kept us from making progress, it's the continuous rain, and from now on we have to walk and beat our way through this jungle with a machete, and I was unable to take any pictures because it was raining all the time until we came to the Brazilian side, and we are pointing towards the Amazon. And we are here at the headwaters of the Amazon in the Jari River in Brazil, and I'm showing the flag of the Adventurers Club. We crossed back into French Guiana. The going down river was even harder, and we traded on the way down, and all these natives were so glad to see us again. I cut my film short now. We are getting closer to the town of Saint Laurent again. We didn't have the use of the motor anymore. It went bad on us, so we have to pole in the still water here. We're back in the town of Saint Laurent. We are unloading all the artifacts which I traded with these natives, and to bring these back to the States now. We are all safe and sound. Nobody was killed or hurt, and it was a very successful trading expedition. The boys are helping me carry all the items and my equipment back to the starting point.
Well, Mr. Jessen, your films represent a wonderful experience, but I know if I were you, I'd be doubly glad to be back to civilization. You must have had some pretty close brushes with real danger in your expeditions.
Yes, I did. For instance, in this expedition, I fell ill with malaria. Fortunately, it did not strike me until I came back to the States. And when I came back, I had to spend 3 weeks at the Veterans Hospital here, but I finally recovered, and that was lucky.
Well, I imagine in your business, malaria can be an occupational hazard. And this probably explains why you've lost so much more weight than when we saw you on your films.
Yes, John, I've lost about 30 pounds, and you can see by my clothing where it came from.
I see. But you're well and healthy again.
Oh, yes, I like it better that way.
Were there any other dangers you faced in the jungle?
Yes, John. There was one time when I was bitten by a piranha fish when I was down in southern Colombia on an expedition. I made a trip up the Putumayo River, which divides Ecuador from Colombia. And in the town of Puerto Asís, I was laying in the river, close to shore, watching the native girls bring water back and forth from their huts. And I was very relaxed there, and all of a sudden, something hit me right in my left leg. And here, it felt like a sharp knife stabbing me. And I grabbed my leg, and here was a big fish sucking right into my flesh and eating away. And all of a sudden, I saw other fish very close by. And I jumped out of the water, and I tried to shake this fish off, but it was so slimy that my hand just had no results at all. I couldn't shake it off. But finally, after about 20 seconds, I was able to just get rid of it, and then my leg bled severely for another half hour. It was right on this leg here.
Mm-hmm. And in spite of these experiences, you still go back.
That's right.
Well, I know that our audience will permit me to qualify you as an expert after your 25 expeditions into this jungle. So may I ask, what do you consider the principal menace in the jungle country?
Well, in the very dense jungle, I think the greatest menace is to get lost in the jungles because there is no help from any place. You know, when you are down there in these jungles, in many days it rains and you don't even see the sun, and then when the sun shines, you're usually covered up with a canopy of green, and it is very hard to know where you are. And in some places, even a magnet doesn't work because they have other smaller magnetic fields down there which deviate the compass. So the only thing to do is to get closer to a river and then just hope eventually to find somebody who could help you. But it's very, very dangerous.
Now, may I ask the obvious question? Have you ever been lost?
No, I never have yet. But
Well, I guess the secret is taking along a good guide.
That's right.
We want to thank you very much, Mr. Jessen, for allowing us to see these wonderful adventures. We know you're off on another expedition, and we hope we see you on your return.
Thank you.
Good luck and Godspeed. We hope you enjoyed tonight's journey into the South American jungles with Mr. Herman Jessen, and that you'll be with us again next week for another adventure. And now a reminder that if you have any films of a journey or an adventure anywhere in the world, we'd like to hear about it. Just drop me a note, John Stevenson, care of this station, with full details. Thank you and good night.